I bought this Audi RS3 thinking I could rebuild it in no time. But soon enough, I found out I was terribly wrong. When the car arrived, I immediately noticed a problem with the engine, which was covered in oil, but it wasn't just that. I found chassis damage on the front and the side, which will cost me thousands to repair. And it didn't stop there. I found a ton of other damage. A bent steering tie rod, a cracked radiator grille, a part of the engine underbody shield was in the passenger footwell. I even found scratches on the seat. In the last video, we removed the front bumper, the fender, and replaced the two smashed doors. We changed the spark plugs in an attempt to resolve the rough working of the engine, but it didn't make any difference. And today, we're going to do a second attempt to fix this issue. Or at least, fix something at all. Another attempt to fix this engine. Last time we changed the spark plugs and there was no real big difference. So today we have a plan of attack, and the plan is we run the car, we check with the diagnostic tool which cylinder is the misfire detected on, then we clear the faults, we swap the coils over and we check again, and if it shows a different coil then we have a faulty coil. If not, we have to dig deeper and get much more into the problem. If the problem is not the coil, then we have to do a compression test, and the problem could be mechanical, which I really hope it is not, because it's going to be costly. For those of you who are not familiar with what a coil is, here is a short explanation. An induction coil, also known as the ignition coil, is technically a device that converts a low voltage electricity coming from the battery into a burst of high voltage electricity, which is used by the spark plug to generate a spark and ignite the air-fuel mixture. When the ignition coil doesn't generate sufficient high voltage burst, the spark plug cannot generate the spark and therefore causes an anomaly known as cylinder misfire. So let's run it now and wait for it to basically record the fault, and once it does, we check with the diagnostic tool. Last time it was cylinder 1, but let's see now if it's going to be the same one, and then we have to change the coils and check. Started flashing, this means the car has recorded cylinder fault, so let's now check with the diagnostic tool and we're gonna see what's up. Now this is going to show probably like a million faults, but and we know because half of the car is basically taken apart, but now what we're interested in is the misfire on, and specifically on which cylinder does that happen. We have cylinder 1 misfire detected. So we've just cleared all of the faults, so now what we have to do is change the coils from first cylinder to third maybe, or something like that, just to check if it's the coil. Doctor's gloves are on. Let's change these coil plugs. I decided to swap over the ignition coils of cylinder 1 and cylinder 3. The process is relatively simple. We just have to undo the harness bracket, the security stud, and pull out the coil. Since the coils are using a steel stud which has an additional extension for tightening secondary nut on top, be careful not to over tighten these, as the aluminum thread in the rocker head can easily get mashed up. I'm not saying I did that, but I did it. So now that everything's in, we start the car again and wait for it to record a misfire, and if it does record misfire 3, then we have a faulty coil. If it records misfire 1, then we have a big problem. Let's see. Now that we've got the check engine light on, it's time to see the verdict. Is it going to be cylinder number 1 or cylinder number 3? Let's see. What do you reckon, Chris? Is it going to be number 1 or number 3? I'm actually very nervous right now.
Hopefully it's number 3. Let's go.
Let's do it. And would you look at that? We have a cylinder 1 misfire detected and a cylinder 3 misfire detected. There is sort of a good news and bad news. The good news is that we have a faulty coil which is on cylinder number 3. And the bad news is that we still have the cylinder number 1. There couldn't be just a random cylinder misfire 3 appear. And I think cylinder 1 misfire detected is due to the fact that the rain started pouring and we had to bring the car up a little bit back in the garage. So it might have recorded data with the old coil whilst we were moving the car, although there was no check engine light. So I reckon we have a faulty coil. And just when I thought we had fixed the issue, I decided to clear up all faults and run the car again, just to be sure. But then this happened.
Why is there only one cylinder? Why only cylinder 1?
The car had recorded misfire on only one cylinder this time, and with the swapped ignition coils, it showed a misfire on cylinder number 1.
So it's not a faulty coil.
Seems like it's not. But why would it record the cylinder 3 misfire? Oh no. I celebrated too early.
So what is the next course of action?
And deep inside my head, I already knew what was coming. Next course of action is compression test. And finding out if there is any problem mechanically with the engine. If there is, then it's a whole new story. The next thing we have to do is our old friend, a compression test device. What I'm doing now is I am disconnecting the injectors from sort of power. I don't know if you can see, but just there I've disconnected all of the connectors for the injectors, and now we're gonna take the first cylinder, sort of a coil and spark plug out. We're gonna put this device in, attach it and measure the compression. There shouldn't be difference across the 5 cylinders, at least not more than 10% or so. So the easiest way to do a compression test is by disconnecting this first fuse here, which is basically the fuel pump fuse or the fuel system fuse, and with that you can do a compression test, because I tried to go and disconnect all the connectors to the injectors, but it's too difficult. There are 10 of them, so the easiest way is again disconnecting this first fuse here. And like a total YouTube rookie, I forgot to press record on the most important part of this video. I only managed to take these 4 pictures on my phone of cylinders 2 to 5, for which I apologize to my audience. The compression test showed a cylinder pressure of 2 bars on the first cylinder, whilst the 4 remaining cylinders showed a compression of 10 bars, with a very slight difference in between, as shown on these images. This only meant one thing: there was a mechanical damage in the engine. My next thought was to grab a borescope camera, as I was eager to look inside the cylinder and see if there was anything visible. I started by checking the piston for any visible cracks or scars, but there was nothing noticeable apart from this mark, which until today I still don't know what it means. Could it be a carbon buildup? Probably some of you guys could let me know in the comments. I then looked at the valves in both open and closed condition. I checked if they were seated okay, as well as the cylinder walls. But I only noticed this, which some people said it could be burned valve and others said it could be unburned fuel buildup. I really couldn't tell, but before I started disassembling the engine, I wanted to run one last test, the ultimate test, the so-called smoke test. And since I didn't have such equipment in my little garage, I had to call a friend and bring the car to his garage, and maybe he could also give me some directions. They say hope always dies last. So off we go on a platform across the city for one last confirmation. And here I would like to express my special thanks to Ilian from Best Auto Parts for sponsoring this video by taking my RS3 on a platform across the city and back without charging me a penny. And since he's been supporting me throughout all my builds, on and off camera, if you guys need any genuine parts for your car, regardless of the make and model, I'm sure Best Auto Parts will offer you very competitive prices. The smoke test is very simple. You turn the crankshaft into the top dead center so that both intake and exhaust valves are fully closed. If smoke starts to come out from anywhere, such as the oil cap, then the issue is most likely a problem with the piston or the piston rings. This test, however, could fool you if there is anything wrong with either of the valves. So off camera, we reverse the process by putting smoke through the oil cap and checking if either of the valves in cylinder 1 would start smoking. Well, There was so much smoke in the cylinder that we couldn't really tell where it was coming from. At this point, I was not ready to continue working on the engine, and since some parts had arrived, it was time to actually fix something. If you remember, in the last video we found a bent inner tie rod. So, what we have now is a brand new inner tie rod from Audi and a track rod end as well. So we're gonna change that today. So let's go. We've managed to remove this little clamp here, but we have the same one on the inside, which I can't really reach. So I decided I'm going to take this side off first. We managed to take the nut bolt out, and now with this tool you can just put this here as much as you can. With the hammer you can actually hammer this a little bit inside there, and then as you sort of start to tighten this bolt underneath, it starts to push this bit, and this bit goes up, and then this will push the cone out from the arm. And there you go, one arm is out. Once this is out of the way, this clamp is out of the way, there is a one-use clamp here which you can take out with a screwdriver, and then we just need to push this like that, and now we have this here which we need to take out, and for that we need a special tool, and this special tool is this tool. But in order to use this tool we have to disassemble this first. This is what we have to do in order to take this out. And that's it. One old track rod out. And now the fun bit. Sometimes people say you have to work smart. You have to work smart rather than hard. Only sometimes. We can take this off, which we have to save. We can use that, put it onto here. I cannot explain to you how tedious this job was. I spent good 30 minutes trying to get it out. I tried every single body position there is in order to remove it. After half an hour of struggling, these tools finally did the job. So that thing goes in here, and then you sort of swing it like that, and then it's good to go. The fun bit is tightening the straight one, the new one. The tactic we're gonna use until we basically go for a tracking of the car is, if you see here, this is where the rust has gone. So this means this is the portion that we need to insert the new track rod end. So it has to go all the way in to somewhere about here, and then tighten it with the nut. And this is what we're going to do now. First things first, we have to put a new clamp on this bolt. So this one is a one-time use, so it can go to the bin, and then we have a proper one which is tightening with the screwdriver. Audi genuine. No, it's not Audi genuine, it's Vesangelo genuine. So first step is the same process but reversed. We put this in place. So this piece here is all tightened up, and now we start to build the next section, which is basically first putting this one on. So welcome underneath my RS3. I want to show you something that I hope the next person to fix this car, if it's not me, you can watch this video and you can find this secret. I don't know if you can see, but this boot has a screwing clamp, and this is where I managed to put it out. So I'm gonna tighten this now. To the future fixing guy of this car, make sure you watch this video and you will find out how to take it off. And believe me, it's not that I wanna make your life miserable, but it's rather the only suitable position. So please thank Audi for this, not me. We continue with the next bit, which is basically this clamp, and this time I'm gonna put it facing that way because I had a nightmare taking it off from this way. And then it's our nut. And now something interesting, make sure that this boot is sort of under relaxed state, and this is when your steering wheel is sort of turned maximum to the left in this case, because if you tighten this clamp and this boot is under tension, when you turn your steering wheel you might rip this off because it is actually clamped on the other side, and now we're going to clamp it on this side. And as you know, this moves in and out, so as it moves it might damage your boot. So make sure this is in the furthest out sort of a steering position, you're in a relaxed state, just like that. So we use our special pliers for this job. Slide it on top, release the clamps, just like that. Let's just double check again that we are at the right position here. Okay, so somewhere about there. Of course this will be tracked once we have the car running. And now both wheels should be relatively straight. Now the last thing to do is tighten these. This nut here. And there we go. We have one inner plus outer tie rod end changed. Unfortunately, this is everything we've got time for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next episode where we're gonna be disassembling the entire front end. We're gonna prepare for an engine out and hopefully take the engine out of the car. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Bate. Popravi?
Твоята снимка.